Okay, so in this video, what I want to talk about is, again, this idea of micro redesigning your math class for this fall, but we're going to look specifically at assessment. So I think it's very easy in college math, and again, every single time when I'm saying we shouldn't be doing this, I am included, okay? I am not like barking at you and barking at me. It's like, we shouldn't be doing this. But so much of our assessment is, could you do this perfect on this day in this time frame to my satisfaction? And it's so right, wrong, and it's not about learning. It's about more, I would say, judgment, which is, again, there's a whole other conversation for another day, and everybody has different opinions on it, and we're not all going to agree on that, and that's fine. But I think what you need to decide, you and me, is we need to decide what is our purpose of assessment. Again, we're not all going to agree what that is, but you need to decide for yourself. What is your goal with assessment? I think mine has changed over my career. I've taught 24 years at this point, and it's like, what is my goal with assessment? And I do think at one point it was very much like, it's like they've got to be at these certain levels or and it's like, that's true. I mean, they do have to gain certain concepts, especially if you're a part of a sequence. Like if you're teaching pre-calculus and they're going to calculus and they are, struggling with trig, that's going to be a problem. So there are things they have to come away with. The question is, excuse me, how are we best doing that with our assessment? And so what I want to be doing with my students this fall, specifically like in my stats class, is I want to do more with focusing on the assessment of talking about data and making sense of it, and less on all the tests that I used to give. And it's not like I gave tons, but I gave plenty, and they took a lot of class time. And so what I've thought about is, what are some things that I could still, it's not like I'm going to get rid of tests. I am, but I think I'm going to do them differently. I don't think I'm going to do them all in class. And I'm going to say something, I'm going to make a very bold statement for a math professor, but I'm not as concerned in stats about things not being proctored. Now, if it was algebra, if it's trig, it's calculus, I get it. I get concerns about, how correct or how much reliability there is in terms of their grading. Stats is harder to cheat at when you are asking, especially more conceptual questions, and it's not just calculations. And so what I want to do is, continue to have assessments like I've always done. I've usually had like pretty big quizzes. I'm going to do those outside of class. And what I'm going to do is not take as many class periods for actual testing, but more time for these activities that we're going to do to go in depth with them, make them count more, make students write more, and really look at, can they analyze data and make sense of it? Can they make some judgments on it? And it's something I want them to, again, it's not the idea to be punitive, it's to be a learning experience. I want them to go in with this, not scared to death that they're going to get the wrong answer, but the idea of is, I want to try to, if it's possible, to build in some way that they can improve their work. They can go back and correct things and improve it. Now, will I have the time to do that and the level of grading that it requires? I don't know, but I'm trying to give thought to that. That was one of the biggest things I learned from the pandemic was, what are my goals with the course? And is my instruction helping me reach those goals? Is my assessment helping me reach those goals? And not always, they aren't. There are things that I know that work for me, but are they working for my student? And when I stopped doing so much with proctored exams and I could do things open book, or they could have a little bit more time, which in my case, if they don't memorize everything in stats, the world's not going to end. That's fine. So what does matter then? If that's not the thing that matters, what does? So all I'm asking you to do is, so let's make this very doable, micro redesign again, very, very manageable. Just think about, is there anything that you could tweak with your test, or even don't tweak, but just have thought, maybe discuss it with a colleague. What's your goal in a particular course for assessment? And do you think your assessments, how you're doing your current strategy is helping you reach it? Is there something you could do this semester that might start to make a dent in improving that? If it's not, maybe it is exactly where you want it to be. Again, please share because I want to hear. But if it's not, what might you want to do? And if you can't do it all this fall, that's okay. Again, just making a list of like, where would I like to get to with this? What's something I could build up to? And realize you don't have to again, reinvent the wheel. What could you do with people in your department that are commonly teaching another class? It's like, because I had a colleague for years that we worked together on curriculum all the time. It just made it so much easier because it's like you have double the class that you can test with. You have another person to bounce ideas off of. You have more things you can work with, more students to get feedback from. That was always really beneficial. So it's something I would encourage you to do. Don't feel like you have to go this alone. That's not the idea. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas, but not in an overwhelming way. I want you to come up with something that's manageable, that'll help you feel like you're making progress with your students, but will not make you feel like you have a to-do list that's a mile long. I'll see you next time.